Hope everybody's doing well. Sorry for the late start tonight. It has been a day, but now it's over for the most part. So I get to spend it with you, fine fellows, fine American and Canadian patriots. So let's say hello to everybody and we'll get right into it tonight. So we have Digger. Hello, hello. We have me saying 15 and then only moving it back 10, which is technically only 5 because I have a 5-minute grace period. So I was somewhere in the middle. What's up, Muffin? Good to see you. I think I already said hi to you, but hi, Digger. Linda, hello, hello. Bad Deza, hello, mate. Alexander, what's up, man? Good to see you. And Xcomer with definitions. The tension, the state of being stretched tight, or mental and emotional strain. It's probably that second one. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? So let's get right into it. We're going to start with Ukraine tonight, because why not? So there's a whole lot of talk about different shakeups, different things, and we'll kind of get into how Ukraine's going and what's about to become of it. Because there's a lot of people saying that it's over, and I think that we've agreed on that the last couple of weeks, covering what's been going on. So this is apparently General Zalazuni will be a disaster for Zelensky. What's up, HT and Shenny? Hello, hello. The removal from office of Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, V. Zalunzi, whatever, will have serious consequences for the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, said the head of the Research Institute of Kiev, Penta, Vladimir Fisenko, emphasizes the American NBC News. General is the second most popular person in Ukraine, and the president's office sees him as a possible opponent. And we'll see a little bit later about current opponents and former opponents. Well, foreshadowing to get everybody going this evening. Now it seems they want to blame Zalazuni for the problems on the front, noted the Ukrainian expert. Fisenko stressed that the dismissal of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, who is favored by both military and society, will weaken Zelensky's position. For this reason, his removal will be a strong blow to the Ukrainian president. We can only hope. We can only hope that he gets removed, because maybe that will cause some sort of uprising. Not that we're looking for more violence in the region. But I think Zelensky is on the brink of being criminally liable for what's going on here. I think he's extended way too far, and he needs to step down and step aside. Here's some of that overreach. What's up, Jason? Zelensky out of control. He banned ex-President Poroshenko from traveling abroad for his own good. So, if you didn't know, Zelensky really likes being in control. Really likes tyranny. So, we'll read the whole thing behind it. It's pretty simple. Ukrainian guards prevented ex-President Petro Poroshenko from leaving the country because he planned to meet Hungary's pro-Russia PM Viktor Orban, Kiev's security services said. So they are not allowing a sovereign citizen, not sovereign citizen, but you know what I mean, a citizen of Ukraine, not like Savset here, citizen of Ukraine to leave his country to go talk to somebody. He's just a private citizen at this point. Yes, he's former president, and it makes you think that old Zelensky is getting a little concerned with what's going to happen to him coming up. So, so moving right by that. That's big. That would be like, well, I guess he did. Joe Biden telling Trump that he can't leave. He just did it with an indictment. Anyways, big risk of losing the war if U.S. Congress delays arms supplies. Ukrainian officials plead with Biden. Brother, your money's all gone. Like, he even has the puppy dog begging eyes. Look at that. Could you please send more money to Ukraine? That's what he's saying with those eyes right now. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's chief of staff said today that postponement of U.S. aid to Kiev to be debated in Congress would create a big risk for Ukraine to lose the war with Russia. If the aid that is now being discussed in Congress is simply postponed, there's a great danger that we find creates a great risk that we will lose this war. U.S. President, former Vice President Joseph Biden, asked Congress in October for nearly $106 billion in addition to fund ambitious plans for Ukraine, Israel, and U.S. border security. But Republicans who control a slim majority of the House of Representatives rejected this package. Good for them. I still think they're garbage, but good for them. I know. What's up, Kitty? That's a little bit more than $1 a day at this point, but yeah, I take your point. My favorite C-tier comedian play current president. I need to just download the video because his penis playing piano is second to none. Second to none. Yeah, I'm gonna take an intro grip break here. Support Mighty by watching on Twitter at the same time, or just follow me on Twitter so I can get monetized over on Twitter because I just think it would be cool. No reason. But yeah. It's only been a couple of years, 2.5, 3 years maybe? I could be wrong on that, but it seems only a couple of years. So, of course, without this immediate physical support, it would be difficult to stay in the same positions and for people to actually survive during the situation where the war will continue, he said. This is why it's extremely critical that the support is voted on as soon as possible. So they want more of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars. I'm good. I don't really want to send them anymore. I mean, I think we should take up a collection plate and do it voluntarily if we're going to do it anymore, because I don't want to do it anymore. I want nothing to do with Zelensky and Ukraine and money laundering, blah blah blah. So we covered that one. Oh, here we go. And another blow to Russian major. Oh, shit. That's the wrong side. Never mind. That's what I was looking for. We'll get to that later. All right. Capitulation poll in Ukraine. The western side of the country wants the war to continue. Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Oh, yeah. I forgot to take that off. It's an overlay, so I forget about it. But thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Since 2019. So, yeah, 2.5, 3 years. Somewhere in there. I wish. I wish. So anyways, almost half of Ukrainians, 44%, say they're ready to compromise in peace negotiations with Russia, and almost the same number, 48%, are in favor of continuing the war. This was reported by the Ukrainian media, according to a poll by Rating Group. Survey was conducted in November. Most supporters of compromise found among the youngest age group, 18 to 35, 45%, and in eastern Ukraine, 51%. Supporters of the continuation of hostilities come from the 36 to 50 age group in the west of the country at 50%. Women are in favor of negotiations with 48% compared to the 44%. Among men, 40% are in favor of negotiations, 51% are against. Compared to the February survey, the number of Ukrainians who are ready to compromise with Russia increased by 9%. At the same time, the percentage of those that opposed fell by 12%. So we're starting to see some movement even from the Ukrainians. Even the Ukrainians uh, are starting to realize what's going on. And here's some more indication of it. Ukraine's backs against the wall, changing war tactics, emphasis on air defense and domestic weapons production. This should have been your focus the whole time. Like if you're going to fight a world superpower, I think the first thing you got to do is start producing your own weapons. And as we'll see, the Western weapons aren't doing them any good. So, so this is from one of the generals. Undoubtedly, the winner in the analysis of our own and the enemy's resource capabilities required adjustments in tactics on the front line and in the cities. We are already moving to different tactic of warfare, effective defense in certain areas, continuation of offensive. Oh shit! Okay. There we go. Continuation of offensive operations in other areas, special strategic operations of the Crimean Peninsula and the Black Sea waters, and significantly reformatted missile defense of critical infrastructure. This year, we see that the enemy has put more emphasis on drones. The winter won't be easy, that given that Russia pays absolutely no attention to international law, convention of rules of warfare, deliberately attacking civilians on a mass scale. The Ukrainians are prepared, taking into account the experience of last winter. Now, all of our resources are being directed to increasingly domestic arms production and speeding up negotiations with partners to increase supplies of critical equipment for new stage of offensive weapons. First and foremost, additional missile defense systems, as well as long-range missiles, drones, and electronic warfare systems. Thus, to summarize, the stage of the war is clear, the needs are obvious, optimal adjustments to the tactics are being made, and negotiations with partners like the United States to beg them for more money are very active. Yeah, you always should have been. The only way you could have sustained anything, is if you continued to produce and started to produce your own weaponry. It's kind of ignorant to think that you can just rely on everybody else to send you shit to keep your war going. So there's also a change from NATO and U.S. partners. Hang on, I'm gonna stop and a made puppet by Alar Kolominsky, which owned the broadcaster, giving Zelensky a platform to begin with. Yeah. Western Ukrainians want to keep fighting are the furthest away from it. Right. They're not getting bombed. They're not getting sent in. Of course. Oh, baby, we'll get to those tanks. We'll get to those tanks. Yeah, the whole Azov thing is interesting. It's incredibly interesting. So I can't say those words, but you would think, you would certainly think, given that they're talking about how much of a threat it is to Europe and places like Poland. You would think they would pull together and stop fucking around there. But as always, they seem to kind of rely on the United States, which is getting old, and we're not capable of doing it anymore. The Omni Coalition over on Rumble, ahoy! What's up, man? Or lady, or whoever you are, welcome. Oh, did you buy the bullpup, or did you get something different? We'll talk to it later. We'll talk about it later. All right, so back to change NATO's slogan in Ukraine, holding your positions is like winning. So now they're focused on just keeping territory. While the spotlight is currently on the Middle East, more and more information emerging about the plight of Ukrainian soldiers on the battlefield. Now, NATO is apparently limiting its goals in Ukraine. Holding your ground is like winning is now the new slogan. It's far less ambitious than what the West has been hoping for since the last Ukrainian offensive, namely that Kiev can use Western weapons to achieve a significant recapture, which forced Moscow to sit at the negotiating table. Not Moscow's going to take whatever the hell they want. Oh, cool, cool, appreciate it. The war in the Middle East showed that the forces of the West are not infinite, especially in materials. For example, when Israel and Ukraine need the same ammunition. It's still a pipe dream to think that they're going to get concessions from Russia. Russia's going to take what they want, which is probably Eastern Ukraine, and we need to all be okay with that. You did get the bullpup. Cool, man. You have to show me later. 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers are said to have been killed in the counteroffensive, with many more people injured physically and mentally since the start of the war. So it's getting to be a mess. And we've all heard this, but so our next up, war to the last Ukrainian. The Ukrainian army is running out of men. We've heard about conscripts. We've heard about people coming into their 70s, all that kind of stuff. There are more and more videos from the Ukrainian front with female soldiers on the front line. In fact, some of them are particularly hard. Wait a minute. Like hard? Are they? Never mind. I'm not a biologist. I'm not going to answer that question or ask that question. By general admission, the Ukrainian ED, they start and end with the male personnel mainly due to the deaths, but also the mass flight of millions of Ukrainians from their country. The video shows the tragic death of at least one Ukrainian woman from a Russian drone strike. We're not going to watch that because I don't want Eat Fest. The death of the entire country, the largest on the European continent, in full swing. I think that the people in charge are absolutely happy to just wipe out every last Ukrainian, and that's sad. And obviously, we're not for wiping out an entire population, but this is kind of their own shit. They kind of push this envelope, and I'm not terribly excited about it. So, so there's another story tangentially related. According to the information, the recruiting offices in Ukraine are now calling the country's teenagers, specifically 17-year-olds, for enlistment into the army. Zelensky sends young children to fight and die, sacrificing the future of Ukraine. So, and the headline is Ukraine's future dies en masse for Zelensky's sake. He just doesn't seem like he's going to stop. He's not going to stop. So, some of this comes about because of a recent. So this just happened yesterday. And it kind of touches on that. And again, we don't need any kids to die. I mean, 17 that's borderline not a kid. We know during the Great Wars we had many 17-year-olds on the battlefield, and they made some significant contributions. But you'd like to think that in something like this, where they're just going to die, not for a reasonable cause, that at some point, maybe we need to hold back, and so on and so forth. But this could have something to do with the further expansion of recruiting. Larry Johnson, ex-CIA, NATO is not sending forces to Ukraine, fears huge losses. No one in Europe or the U.S. would have strength to withstand such losses. NATO does not send soldiers and ground forces to Ukraine because it fears huge losses from fighting with the Russian army. And there's a lot out that the Russians are much tougher and blah, blah, blah. Pretty much the exact opposite that we've been hearing for the last year of, oh, the Russians are unprepared and they don't have equipment and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, Ukraine lost unequivocally and with everything NATO could have offer except troops. NATO could not send troops for a number of reasons, one of which that the mobilization would take too long, and that once they're on the battlefield, they would be destroyed in huge numbers. No one in the U.S. or the Europe would have had the strength to suffer such losses, emphasized former CIA officer Larry Johnson. According to Johnson, the West underestimated the determination of the Russians to defend their country from external threats, calling into question NATO's ability to do the same with its borders. And the Russians, right or wrong, have significantly felt threatened. It's not really my place to say. I mean, I'm not there. I have no idea if they should, shouldn't, so on and so forth. But I know that there seems to be a great deal of concern with the Russians that the United States is moving in, NATO's moving in, and I don't think it's unreasonable to say, yeah, you know what, we should probably start pushing them back just a little bit. I don't know. So that's up to you guys to decide, but I feel like the NATO expansion has been kind of pushing in. And actually we have a vidya. So I'll play a quick video and we'll take a look at it because I thought this video was interesting. Kind of circulating around as of late. Hey, what's up, Aaron? Thanks for the stop by. I mean, it's possible. They did end up hitting the Black Sea Fleet. Well, the United States hit the Black Sea Fleet. But boating accidents, that's a good way to lose your guns. So so yeah, so this is US expansion, NATO expansion by year. So all those little dots are military bases, and we keep infringing and getting closer and closer to Russian territory. For those who don't know, Russia is in the upper right corner. I'm sure we all do, but just for the hell of it. China is right below it. So that's kind of, I mean, the dots just keep growing and we get more and more installations. It is a threat. It is a threat to many countries, and I can see how they're not thrilled about having NATO continue to move in. Again, not that I'm a Russian sympathizer, but I get the complaint. So, dozens of Ukrainians killed every day in Kryvska. They must surrender. There's no point. So we're getting many of these same exact. And again, we're not gonna. Yeah, we can watch that video. The head of Chechnya, Raman Karadov, called on Ukrainian soldiers to surrender and not going to even try to pronounce it. He specifically said Ukrainian soldiers should not face certain death. Ukrainian armed forces fighters are suffering daily casualties in the western suburbs, and it's time to start surrendering. It is. No, it's probably pretty damn expensive. I mean, I get that you're being a smartass, but yeah. Oh yeah, no question. And they have been for some time. And they're just taking them off. They don't even know they're up there. So, now we're kind of in the video corner. The next one, they run an exercise and they destroy their own equipment. Maybe. Yeah, there's a potential for me at some point getting booted. I have it up on Twitter. What the hell? Did I not go to Twitter? Oh, it is playing on Twitter. So these are just some of the stuff that's going on where they just it's obvious they're not terribly well trained. Great music for it too. I mean, it's not funny. It's kind of. They don't look like a great fighting force. What's up, fast food? Probably wouldn't want to surrender to the chest. Yeah, probably not. So, I mean, as you can see, they're doing great work. Here's another video. So this is them with one of those brand new tanks. You know, see a mine, run it over, kaboom. I think that's what you're supposed to do, right? It didn't even get a chance to hit it with the ordnance because it ran over fucking mine. All right, so and a little bit more. So here's some of those new German tanks that were supposed to turn the tide of battle. We can see they're turning the tide. I can see almost Ukraine winning. Almost. Oh shit! Another mine. Those are the German Leopard tanks. Cute. And I saw a report. I couldn't refind it, and it was not part of my. I saw it in passing. So, I saw a report that they were kind of playing a game with the new Abrams tanks that just arrived. So they were tracking them from the minute we dropped them off and playing games with them to destroy the tanks. So most of the time. So Russia's just toying with them for sure. Sad. So they seem to be doing their job. And then the Russians aren't holding back here either. Baptism of fire for the Admiral Markov frigate, so their new boat. Caliber cruise missiles hit Ukrainian army infrastructure. Oh shit! I thought this one was on the. I guess we're going back to Twitter. So I'll head back over here to Twitter. So this is released by the.
Получен сигнал на нанесение ракетного удара в кратчайший срок. Корабельным боевым расчету провести оценку и анализ обстановки в районе боевых действий. Ракетная атака личному составу укрытия. Командиру боечасти 2. Назначить старту 4 крылатых ракеты. Е-14.
Начало пристарта подготовка.
Есть КП-1 командира боечасти 2. Снять блокировку режимов.
5, 4, 3, 2. ГКП КП-1, корабль точки пуска.
Есть КП-1, начат пусковой цикл. КП КП-2, сход первый из ракетного места номер 4. Сход Сход второй из ракетоместа номер 3. Сход третий из ракетомест номер 2. Сход четвертый из ракетомест номер 1.
So yeah, they're just destroying our vehicles. So go back to the sea in a minute. They're not just destroying our vehicles, but they're destroying a lot of our vehicles. Russians left nothing behind. The Ukrainian front is full of Western scrap metal. The video is kind of nasty, so we're not going to watch it. But the area of Kopani and Zaporizhia, where the Ukrainians recently tried to infiltrate, has been littered with scrap metal. So we're seeing a lot of our tanks just get destroyed on the battlefield. If that was all that was happening, that would be better than what the other portion of that is. So we have this report. The Russians transfer U.S. Toma M2A2 Bradley to Moscow. They make wings and wings of the protection system. So apparently they have captured their first Bradley tank. Stop moving around. Sorry. An American M2A2 Bradley equipped with the dynamic protection kit has been in the hands of the Russian army for a few 24 hours. The Bradley was reportedly abandoned on November 20th by the Ukrainians at Avdiivka. The American Toma was hit during the fighting on the north side of the city, but for a long time it could not be transported for various reasons. The Toma belonged to this 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade Magura, which initially participated in the summer counteroffensive in the direction of Zaporizhia, and it was transferred to Avdiivka. So far, this brigade has already lost 42 M2A2 Bradleys in combat. The Russians are interested in the protection system that this Toma has. So, voting answers and sex. Oh, good. You guys voting to annex 2/3 of Guyana. This is going to be crazy. Yeah, that's coming down the pike too. So, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Maybe. But yeah, so our defense technology is now in the hands of the Russians, which is always a great thing. It's always a good idea to have your equipment in the hands of your enemy. So, where did it? Oh, it's right there. Duh. Okay. Russia, Ukrainian USV destroyed before reaching Crimea. I mean, they're just toying with everything now. They're just annihilating anything we can even send. I say we, but Ukraine can even send. The Russian Navy today destroyed an unmanned surface vehicle that was heading to Crimean Peninsula, the Ministry of Defense announced in Moscow. Around 8 a.m. Moscow time, an unarmed Ukrainian vessel was detected in the western sector of the Black Sea moving towards the Crimean Peninsula. According to the ministry, which he added that the target was destroyed. Meanwhile, air defenses destroyed 18 of a total 25 drones in Kiev. Said were sent by the Russians to strike targets in Ukraine overnight. Authorities said Air Force also announced that 2 of the 3 cruise missiles fired by Russia were destroyed. Ukrainian authorities have not, at least so far, reported any damage or casualties in the attack, which they say have always been launched from southwestern Russia and Crimea and said to hit targets in eastern and southern Ukraine. Money's on Russia. They seem pretty damn excited about it, though. Seem pretty damn excited about it. And it's another one of those, if you know, like knowing is one thing, but then when you add in not just knowing, but having it physically in front of you, it's a different dynamic. It really is. Especially if you're trying to reverse engineer stuff. So, Kosmogony in the Russian Navy received the silent submarine launched at the submarine of the Yasin M class. So, as we'll see a little bit later, announced by TASS, Mazik, the submarine of the improved Kilo class upgraded version of this class of submarines, was handed over to the Russian Navy with a special ceremony attended by the Chief of Naval General Staff, Admiral Nikolai Yemenov. I won't read a ton about it, but they're starting to have technological advancements, and that's a damn fine new ship. So, it looks a little chilly there, not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, this is all. None of this can be good information for our enemies across the globe to start building new technology. Slightly. There's less snow on the Korean one. All right. So moving right along. Russian VDV seize Ukrainian fort and take prisoners at Bakhmut. Like I said, it's all bad news for the Ukrainians. Drone footage shows Russian paratroopers seizing a Ukrainian fort and capturing Ukrainian soldiers near Bakhmut. UAV operators discovered that Ukrainian positions artillery strikes followed. VDV forces then attacked and forced them to surrender. As a result, 4 Ukrainian soldiers were captured. That video is kind of graphic too. YouTube's weird on their war videos, so I'm gonna refrain for now. Speaking of upgrades, here's yet another. Deadly upgrades to the Garin 2 kamikaze drone. Giant thermobaric payload brings total destruction. What did the Russians change? It looks relatively rudimentary, but I mean, what do you need in a kamikaze drone, really? So a major improvement has recently been made to the kamikaze Garin 2 drone, which is used to carry out strikes. One of the key innovations is the integration of LTE modems with SIM cards operated by Kyivstar in the guidance systems of drones. This allows operators to remotely control UAVs via temporary secure IP addresses, receive telemetry information, and transmit radio controls. Such control system is particularly important when GPS radio navigation channels are suppressed by electronic warfare in the L band. Those kamikaze drones are so cool and only cost like $4,000. Shit, I need one then. I haven't looked into slider bots. I'll look into it for sure. I'll look into it. So obviously they're thinking there's going to be some kind of warfare that takes down communications, which I could definitely see. I could see at some point. Because I think that's the way to go with things is cut out comms. But so moving right along to more destruction by the Russians. Video warning for Greece from Ukraine. See what happens to this Leopard 2A4. So simple. We will watch this one on X. There's some indication that that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, it's all the same damn thread. That's why. No, that's the. I think this link's broken because it's taking me to the sub. There we go. There we go. So here's yet another German tide-turning tank just fucking blown up. Oh, cool. I appreciate it. Yep, there's another tank. And good night. I mean, is there any question that they're not getting their ass kicked? Just all over the battlefield, back, forth, left, right, and center. They're just getting annihilated at every fucking turn. Like, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? Okay, I guess we don't have to play that over and over again. Apparently, this isn't enough. The Russian army is advancing in all directions in Ukraine. Over 125,000 Ukrainian casualties. Ukraine has lost 125,000 soldiers and 16,000 weapons units. They are literally just kicking their ass all over the country. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said Friday, December 1st, 2023, that the Russian army is advancing in all directions in Ukraine. Shoigu also said that Russia will next year hold naval exercises dubbed Ocean 2024, in which all three branches of Russian armed forces will participate. The overall mobilization in Ukraine and the supply of Western weapons and the use of strategic reserves by the Ukrainian command did not change the situation on the battlefield. Such desperate actions of the enemy result in heavy losses of Ukrainian troops. Ukraine has lost more than 125,000 soldiers and 16,000 units of various weapons. He also announced that 7 modern training fields are being equipped in the zone of special military operation in Ukraine, 2 of which are fully completed. So we're building up the enemy. Building up the enemy, plain and simple. I thought this story was fucky and kind of weird at the same time. Video, Russian sniper waited 4 days. Again, not watching this video, but waited 4 days for Ukrainians to show up and killed them all in minutes. So this Russian just sat there. He just sat there and just blew them away. Just picked them off one after another. We'll read about it. Sniper duels on the Russian-Ukrainian battlefield seem to have just escalated. Russia claims that snipers wiped out an entire battalion this year. A Russian sniper killed his target after 4 days of waiting. The Russian Ministry of Defense released a video showing either lone snipers or pairs of snipers engaging in long-range targets. The Russia-Ukraine war had all 3 characteristics that naturally ensure many exchanges of sniper fire. It is essentially a land war that goes for an extended period of time, involves control of terrain as an important strategic objective, and also has trench and artillery battles. According to Ria Nostrovia, a Russian volunteer, I hit the space. Sniper with the call sign Skull spent 4 days in an ambush and finally eliminated the enemy with one shot. A 22-second video shows the sniper in action. The gun fires and the bullet appears to travel briefly from the top left side of the screen. The head of the Ukrainian soldier immediately disappears or comes down. Sniper fires on another target, this time from prone. The bullet probably hits his head, hidden behind the branches. So he literally just sat there, hung out, and waited. Like I said, we're not going to watch that video because 2 people get their head blown off. It's not YouTube friendly. All right. I think these videos are okay. They're both fairly short, so we'll just see. So this was dubbed as a message they were sending to Greece. Rosette's breaking. You know. So they obviously wiped out some equipment. I removed myself. Anyways, he signed a decree that foresees an increase in the personnel of the armed forces. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered a further increase in the personnel of the Russian armed forces, according to the decree released by the Kremlin on Friday. In particular, the Russian armed forces are now to be reinforced with 170,000 conscripts, bringing their personnel to 1.32 million. In the summer of 22, a few months after the Russian invasion of Ukraine began, Vladimir Putin ordered an increase in personnel of its armed forces to 1.15 million. Second wave of conscription, they seem to have a bigger plan coming down the pipe. So that's never good for the West or anyone else. He's also thinking about, yes, it was Greece, but there's an interesting article on the other side of that. It almost seemed like a threat. He's also looking for the future. Large families should become the norm, urges women to have 8 children. The future of the Russian state, the eternal Russia. I'm not gonna read all that because you know how babies are made, but he wants a significant uptick in the amount of children being born. Usually that has something to do with further conflict or wait, I've heard this one before. I don't know where, but absolutely not. Well, maybe we can do a show on that later, but possibly. And truly, that is they want the eastern side for the Black Sea, so he might want to get it over with by then, though. I don't know. They seem pretty brazen right now. So, survives intervention by Putin. It's only a matter of time before Russia-Greece ties are reborn. Our relations come from afar. He talks about, I honestly don't know the whole story, but Russian President Vladimir Putin made a surprise statement on the progress of Greek-Russian relations when he welcomed the new Greek ambassador. Yeah, not going to happen. To the Kremlin. It's impossible not to worry about the situation and the relations between Russia and Greece. We hope that traditional ties of spiritual closeness, mutual sympathy, and respect of the Russian and Greek peoples will help over time. Mutual beneficial relations between the states and normal relations will be reborn. More than 2 centuries, Russia and Greece have been able to establish a constructive and friendly cooperative relationship, which has helped them to jointly achieve good results in bilateral economic cooperation and relations between the two societies. It is recalled that recently the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, through the mouth of its representative Maria Zakharova, advocated the return of the Parthenon sculptures to Greece and an opening to the Greek people. It is theft. We fully share that view. This is a colonial tradition. The British looted the national treasure from various parts of the world for many centuries, and their museums in general consist of antiquities that have been stolen from the colonies. I'd agree with that. They are. When a bear and a Russian man love each other, they drink a bottle of vodka and see what happens. Crazy. If we stop antagonizing Russia, maybe we would not need to worry about the war with them. Maybe I'm just dumb, though. Well, you are dumb. Because then the defense contractors don't get rich, sir. You didn't account for that in your calculation. Lockheed, Boeing, I mean, they need to make their record profits. We cannot take food off their table. We cannot take food off their table. Absolutely, it is 100%. Everything was taken away by French and British military diplomats was completely fabricated pretext. Allegedly, they exported cultural goods or temporarily exported them. It's robbery. Oh, shit. Well, I'm not becoming Russian. I'll stop learning Russian. Exactly. So this is a turn. Western sources are now saying that Russia has won. Russia is winning the Ukrainian conflict and will be better off in 2024, The Economist reports. At least in 2024, Russia will be in a stronger position to fight because it will have more drones and artillery missiles, and its military has developed successful electronic warfare tactics against some Ukrainian weapons. This is just to illustrate that even Western sources are starting to come around to it, something that we already knew. Now, in full transparency, we've just done what Russia's fucked Ukraine for 53 minutes and 39 seconds. I'm going to share the 3 stories that took me forever to find in the last week that Ukraine has done correctly. Russian Major General Vladimir Zavadetsky, deputy commander of the 14th Army Corps, is killed. Major loss for the Russian military forces, as it was confirmed by senior Russian regional official that Major General Vladimir Zavadetsky, the deputy commander of the 14th Corps, was killed in Ukraine. Highly decorated tank commander and officer, heavy loss and causes great pain. So that's one of the things that they've been successful at. Here's the next one. And yeah, when you lose a general, but a general is one man, and somebody will take his place. Russia explosion on train carrying 50 fuel tanks for the army sabotaged of the SBU sees Moscow. Funny. I wonder if they got some of that from the United States with how much shit is blown up here. Russian train carrying fuel was blown into the air, which Russian authorities are already attributing to the SBU, the intelligence service for the Ukrainian army, while judicial investigation has already been ordered into this terrorist attack. So 50 gallons of fuel, and we'll take a look at some video from it. It was a spectacular explosion. Is this the one where... Oh, that's the after effect one. Give me one moment here. But it is. You want to call There wasn't footage of the actual thing, just after the after effect. So we'll take a look at that. But they want to talk about how Russia's doing all these bad things. This undoubtedly seems to be a terrorist attack. Full of gas. The people still think because their paratroopers failed failed near Kiev in the first hours of the war, losing, but it was always a long shot. It was always a long shot, but you had a lot of Western media that was pushing the fact that they were, we had Ghost of Kiev and Zelensky was going to defeat Russia by himself. All this shit. So sabotage of Ukrainians in Siberian railway tunnel. Impressive strike. 4,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Again, probably a terrorist attack. I touched on this briefly the other night. An operation by the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, has been blamed for the fire that broke out last night on a Trans-Siberian railway tunnel Russia used to supply Russian troops, according to a Ukrainian source cited by the Reuters news agency. 4 explosive devices were detonated in Severyomsk railway tunnel in the Republic of Buryata, near the border with Mongolia, the official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity. If confirmed to be Ukrainian sabotage, it would be an impressive demonstration of Kiev's ability to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. The aforementioned rail tunnel is more than 4,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. State-owned company that runs the rail network said the train stopped after smoke was seen coming from a diesel fuel tank. So they know how to do. Yep, I did an entire video on it. The day it happened. So we'll take a look at this video. This one was the, like you said, we talked about this briefly the other night. It was the one that connected Russia and China. Major impact on. Kind of looks like what's been happening in the United States recently, right? All right. So I'm going to get canceled for this, but we're switching to Israel. And we're starting off strong. Israel investigates possible trading knowledge ahead of the October 7th Hamas attack. God damn it. I lost my shoe. It's driving me nuts. Hang on. All right. Crisis averted. My shoe's back. Jerusalem, December 4th. Israeli authorities are investigating claims by U.S. researchers that some investors may have known in advance of a Hamas plan to attack Israel on October 7th and use that information to profit from Israeli securities. And this is not some random bullshit. This is Reuters, which is kind of random bullshit, but it's actually a mid-random bullshit. Research by law professors Robert Jackson from New York University and Josh Mitz of Columbia University found significant short selling of shares leading up to the attacks, which triggered a war nearly 2 months old. Days before the attack, traders appeared to anticipate the events to come. They wrote, citing short interest in the MSCI Israeli Exchange Traded Fund. that suddenly and significantly spiked on October 2nd based on data from the Financial Industry Regulation Authority. And just before the attack, Israeli securities on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange short selling increased dramatically, they wrote in their 66-page report. There was some methodology to it, and it maybe this is the methodology. That includes the recession following the financial crisis in 2008, the 2014 Israeli-Gaza war, and the COVID pandemic. YouTube said you're 2 channels. I don't have 2 channels. I just have 1 channel. What's up, Jacob Castro over on Rumbles and Neo? So there's a ton of methodology to this. I'll look into it a little bit more, and when we can get into it deeper. But yeah, there seems to be an uptick that a significant uptick in short selling. Just another data point to show that people may have known that the attack was coming. We've already heard the Mossad angle. We've already heard U.S. intelligence whistleblowers. Huh, that's weird. I only have 1 channel. Oh, of course. Of course. I'll look into it, Spicy, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I should only have 1. All right. So we're starting to get a lot of Israel new. Like I said, the Mossad, all that kind of stuff. Speaking of spending money and buying shit, concern in Turkey, thousands of Israelis are buying land in occupied territories. 43,000 so far. So there's a Turkish newspaper Turkish newspaper following videos and advertisement of a construction company of Israeli interest, which operates in the occupied territories. That's the title, so we're not going to read that again. For 20 years in the TRDBC, the Zionists have been creating colonies on our land. According to the information, they own 3,355 square kilometers after they bought 25,000 acres of land in Cyprus for commercial and residential use. They do it in Palestine. They do it in our land. Israel is threatening Cyprus. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Somebody else isn't happy. Somebody else isn't happy. So yeah, somebody isn't happy. That seems to be what's going on all around the world. And that's kind of where we're going to go from this point for a little bit here. We're going to go around the world and look at all the countries that are pissed off. So, like we said, Turkey's definitely one of those countries. Turkey to Israel, if Mossad operates on our soil, you'll suffer serious consequences. It's called Turkey Kiki. Turkey Zionist. When I was 10, the Germans and Turks used to kill each other in Frankfurt, Germany. I watched it. Damn. Wow. See, and yeah, I try and be very reserved on this. Because I know that people have strong feelings either way. And I try and be just report it, not really throw a whole ton of my personal opinion in it. So I don't really have an opinion. The only thing I wish is that the United States would stay out of it. But back to you, Spicy. 50 years ago. um, so we've never had something like that happen on American soil. We've never seen troops roll in. We've never had to fight for our neighborhoods and in our home. Everything we've ever done has been overseas. I think we'll see it eventually. I think we'll see it in the near future, but it's a different dynamic than seeing tanks rolling down your street. That's for sure. And I think it's fascinating because we've never had that, and I hope we never do. But I think that's ignorant to think that we're not going to. So, civil rights was 50 years ago too, and we don't talk about that either today. Yeah, true. But anyways, back to the Turkish intelligence sources who are not named reportedly told Andula agency that the warnings have been given to their interlocutors regarding reports in the international press that Israel will target Hamas members living outside Palestine, including Turkey. That wouldn't be advisable. Because any country where you kill a citizen, you're going to be fighting those. We've seen 7 million seasoned warfighters cross the southern border. They say it's not happening. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I get it. It's totally cool, man. I agree, and that's why I like to talk about it. And I never shy away from a topic, but there are certain things where, and the truth is, I don't have a strong opinion about it. I want the United States to stay out of it. That's my strong opinion. So I don't have a problem talking about it. As mentioned in a publication, Turkish agency, Turkish officials recalled that various secret services had in the past tried to carry out illegal activities on the territory of the Turkish Republic and emphasized that similar operations by any service will not be tolerated. And again, Qatar, Turkey, Lebanon, it's going to take a few years, but they're going to be there to do it. So it looks like Israel is trying to extend their reach and reach outside of their bounds to kill people in different countries, and that's shit. That can't be a good thing. That cannot be a good thing. So there's like 4 or 5 more Turkish articles, but I think we get it. Turkey does not like Israel either. So I was kind of shocked to see Europe kind of condemning largely Israel and the West in general. I don't know if this was a commendation from Macron. I'll let you guys decide. I believe it's in French. So, French President Emmanuel Macron said France was deeply concerned about renewed violence in Gaza and is flying to Qatar to help efforts to restart a ceasefire. We're at the time where Israeli authorities should clarify more precisely their goals and their ultimate goal, the total destruction of Hamas. Does anyone think that's possible? If this is the goal, then the war will last 10 years. There's no lasting security for Israel in the region if its security is achieved at the expense of Palestinian lives. Let's all have a clear mind. And again, not a direct, like, full. It's all in French, so it's not worth really. There's not a translation for it. Again, there seems to be some commendation for Israel that thinks that it should be able to work with impunity. Now, inside the country of Israel, they're probably fucked, but outside, it looks like there's actually some pushback. So, I agree. I'm gonna share because y'all are about teaching. I hope I'm right. You are absolutely welcome to share, and I mean, I would be happy to talk to you if you wanna reach out too. So, um, what did they remove the yellow stars? I don't know what you're talking about. On the last one, shit. I'm gonna pretend like you didn't say anything, Comer, because I don't remember what you're talking about. Oh, from Copa or United Nation or whatever. It looked like it was a new setup. It was kind of that mint green shit. Oh, not you share. Y'all sharing facts. In the Security Council, the clown has yellow stars. Yeah. It looked like it was a new color scheme. So, serious diplomatic episode. Israel recalls its ambassador to Spain after Sanchez's scandalous and shameful statements. So there's some Spanish pushback again. And we'll go over to X because that makes it easier. It's all kind of one spot. Following the outrageous remarks by the Spanish Prime Minister, who once again repeated baseless accusations, I decided to recall our ambassador to Spain for consultations in Jerusalem. Israel is acting and will continue to act according with international law and continue the war until all the hostages are returned and Hamas is eliminated from Gaza. The single entity responsible for the October 7th massacre and for the current situation in the Gaza Strip, and that is Hamas terror organization. Hamas is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity against the citizens of Israel, as well as against the residents of the Gaza Strip. Also, Big Daddy America, strict recommendations from the U.S. They ask Israel to carry out more cautious military operations in the southern Gaza Strip. So even the U.S. is not full-throatedly backing Oh, YouTube asked if your video has been advertised too many times as Alexander, Digger usually hangs out in mine. I don't think she has her own, but she hangs out in mine. So Israel's chanting from the river to the sea. Israel isn't chanting from the river to the sea. They all just want to live. Officials from both the U.S. State Department and the U.S. Department of Defense are trying to persuade Israel to shape the military operation zones in the Gaza Strip in a way that maximizes the protection of civilians, so that there's no repeat of civilian casualties like what happened in Israeli attack on the northern part of the Palestinian enclave. But given that thousands of civilians have fled south at Israel's request, we believe that Israel should proceed. The operation planning has taken into account the presence of many more innocents, he added, including things like limiting the conflict zone and defining areas where civilians can seek refuge. They're still planning process for the South. We invite them to take these into account. And just to be fair, the United States saying that you shouldn't do something, that's kind of shit too. The United States really doesn't listen to anything. I don't know why they would think that we should impart our wisdom on other people. That pisses me off more than anything. But again, the United States should stay out of it. So completely. And of course, I don't want anybody on either side to die, but Israeli soldiers take down Palestinian flag and get blown up by Hezbollah, killing 5. Yet again, we're not going to watch the video because it's pretty graphic. 5 Israeli soldiers attempted to take down a Palestinian flag on the Israeli-Lebanon border and were hit by an anti-tank missile fired by Hezbollah fighters. They were probably all killed. This video shows the very powerful explosion. It's very difficult for anyone to survive. Hezbollah yesterday announced the death of 4 more Israeli soldiers while firing at least 80 rockets throughout the day. In fact, there's an undeclared war of attrition going on the border right now. And largely, I think that it's going to be a long war. I think it's going to be a very long war, and it's probably going to end up being a war of attrition, just like we saw in Russia. And we'll see what comes of that. So, Ben Gurion Canal, Israel's plan to finish the Suez Canal, what the classified files say. So Egypt just joined BRICS. So Israel is trying to finish a canal across southern Israel, which could have something to do with the uptick in war, if we're being honest. Because you would want to clear out that area so that you could develop it. And I understand that as well. With the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, the idea of creating the Ben Gurion Channel was revived in the media. The canal would connect the Gulf of Aqaba on the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea and pass through Israel and end in the Gaza Strip. It's an Israeli alternative to the Suez Canal that became popular in the 1960s after Nasser's nationalization of Suez. And here's some history on just that. Having the Suez Canal be one specific pinch point is obviously a bad thing. It's a military kind of chokehold and a commercial chokehold, and we've seen that the countries that control these locks and these different canals and things of that nature are extremely powerful and have extreme influence in the areas that they operate. I, especially in the Middle East, I would think that you would certainly want to do something like that. It would be incredibly ambitious and probably very expensive, but maybe if you could make some agreement, then people wouldn't have to fight in the area. Maybe, like I said here, you work for a common good, and then you remove the fighting. You remove the ability to want to wipe each other off the map. If you're working together towards a common good, maybe, I don't know. So not according to the Turkish government, that's to change their official English name. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to continue to call him Turkey. Gobble gobble. Why did I just sound like Bill Clinton when I said gobble gobble? So we're going to get into. I don't know how I feel about this. I'll let you guys decide. So we've heard a lot about the tunnel situation from the Palestinians, from the Israelis, and how it's kind of a flashpoint in the area. Yeah, gobble gobble, gobble gobble. Gobble. That's also true. IDF has discovered 800 wells that lead to a huge underground Hamas network under Gaza. So the IDF have identified 800 wells leading to Hamas's vast underground network of tunnels and shelters since the ground operation in Gaza began on October 27th, and have destroyed more than half of them, it announced today. The tunnel shafts were located in civilian areas, many of which were located inside buildings such as schools, kindergartens, mosques, and playgrounds. We've heard that. We've heard criticism from both sides saying that Israel's hitting schools and hospitals. Of course, a ton of it's going to be propaganda, so we don't know what the hell's actually coming out of there. So I'm sure you have your own opinion. I'll let you decide. Hamas blew up a tunnel with 60 IDF soldiers. Heaviest day of fighting in Gaza. So it appears that Hamas is also using the tunnels situation to kill IDF soldiers. So it seems like a lot of the fighting is happening underground in the tunnels. And they flooded it. Yeah, we're gonna get to that too. So Israeli backed by fighter jets have dropped hundreds of bombs and other munitions, are engaged in the heaviest day of fighting since the start of the invasion of the Gaza Strip. So this is the part that I don't like. Israeli operations in the Gaza Strip have left nearly 16,000 dead, mostly civilians, according to Hamas's health ministry. Again, we will never know with certainty what comes because of that, or what's actual true because of that. There's a lot of propaganda on both sides. They both play the game. They both try and do these different things to try and make themselves sound better. But there's been some intense fighting, at least in the tunnel system. We know that that's one of the things we can say for sure because we're getting it from both sides. Israeli army installed system to flood Hamas underground tunnels. Installation of 5 pipelines was completed. Wait, what are you doing? There's not many places in Gaza that aren't close to a school, hospital, mosque, church, etc. Yeah, it seems to be pretty heavily populated. So, won't that drown the hostages? Oh, never mind. Right? Yeah. Well, they got to have a canal to move their oil. So Israel's military has reportedly installed a pipeline system in the Gaza Strip that it may use to flood underground tunnels used by the armed wing of the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas in order to render them useless and force fighters from the Ezzedine al-Qassam brigades to abandon them, the Wall Street Journal has reported, citing U.S. government sources. Around mid-November, the newspaper explained Israel's military completed the installation of at least 5 pipelines about 1.5 kilometers from Ash Shati refugee camp. These pipelines theoretically allow it to pump thousands of cubic meters of water every hour into the flooded complex network of underground tunnels within weeks, according to the publication. It's not clear whether and what to extent Israel intends to proceed with this move before all hostages are released. Hamas said that captives are in secured locations and tunnels. And realistically, that would probably be a tactic. So they'll attempt to keep people in those locations so that the Israelis don't flood the tunnels. Probably going to be a war tactic. According to the Wall Street Journal sources, Israel informed the U.S. of the plan, which would also affect the small enclave water and sewer system last month, but it's unclear how close the government is to giving the order. Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's defense ministry did not immediately respond when Reuters news agency sought comment. You're pro-peasant. I believe so at some point. Damn, you're late, girl. But I appreciate it. Midstream Grip, please hit that like button and make sure you're subbed to the channel. Smash the bell to get updates when I go live. Thank you. All right, so moving along. IDF, 10,000 Israeli airstrikes in Gaza since October 7th. I don't like this either. They're just pounding the shit out of everything. Like, and just to be clear, again, I'm not anti-war. I'm just anti-war that doesn't, you know, I don't know. I'm not liking any of this, and I'm not liking any of it. The IDF says it's marked 10,000 airstrikes carried out in the Gaza Strip that were directed by ground forces. These airstrikes have been led by IAF's Cooperation Unit 5620, which coordinates operations between the IAF and ground forces during maneuvers. 10,000 airstrikes in about a month, it just seems a little excessive. I'm not gonna lie, it does. But again, leave that for you to decide. Near Holocaust, Hamas missile hits Israeli airbase where nuclear missiles are located. The Israelis fought flames alongside the nuclear missiles. You should probably take better care of nukes, maybe. So we're gonna go over to X again, but I like the headlines, but I like the way that X is set up better. Anyways, a rocket most likely fired by Hamas militants during the October 7th attack on Israel struck an Israeli military base where experts say many of the country's nuclear-capable missiles are based, according to the visual analysis of the attack aftermath by the New York Times. While the missiles themselves weren't hit, the rocket's impact at the Soda Micah base in central Israel sparked a fire that approached missile storage facilities and other sensitive weaponry. Israel has never acknowledged the existence of its nuclear arsenal, though Israeli whistleblowers, U.S. officials, and satellite imagery analysis all agreed that the country possesses at least a small number of nuclear weapons. So this is allegedly where these weapons and scorched earth. So, that's that. And the last story out of Israel, Hamas, the God damn it, the New York Times reports Israel intelligence knew of the Hamas plans to launch an airstrike or launch an attack nearly identical to what unfolded on October 7th, but dismissed it. Shani Granat Louboutin, whose relatives were released on Sunday after more than 50 days in captivity, react. Take this with a huge grain of salt. Like go get a whole bottle of salt and just put it on your tongue. Because this is CNN, and CNN is asshole and does lie. I was just gonna roll over that one because I didn't want to get into that discussion. Like I said, I just threw it out there. You guys decide. But no, that was always the conventional line of thought that they did not have nuclear weapons. And I think it's pretty obvious now that they do if they would stop burning next to their nuclear weapons. I know there's been thought, but it's never been officially recognized. So I don't know. Well, I know sometimes, but so take this with a massive bottle of salt. But this is a report saying that
Shani Granat Louboutin, her husband's cousin, and 3 of her children were held hostage by Hamas for more than 50 days. They were thankfully released on Sunday. That cousin's husband and eldest daughter were murdered by Hamas in the October 7th attack. Shani, thank you so much for joining us. We're discussing this report from the New York Times about what appears to be a clear failure of Israeli intelligence on October 7th. What's your reaction to hearing that this plan was in the hands of Israeli intelligence officials?
Well, first of all, it's very important for me to say that I trust the IDF. I trust its commanders. They're doing the most important and hard work there is right now. And I don't blame the IDF, neither the commanders. But we are very much heartbroken by what happened. And in many ways, I think it's very important to say that the only one to blame is the terror organization Hamas, who did this atrocities and massacre and kidnapped our loved ones on October 7th. So it's very important to remember that they were the one who did it.
Yeah, Hamas absolutely is responsible. But I wonder, what do you think should happen in Israel as a result of what was missed here and what could have been done differently to potentially defend Israel and your relatives against an attack like this?
Well, unfortunately, and I'm saying it with a very heavy heart, my government was busy weakening the judicial system and hurting our democracy throughout this year. And they were too busy on that instead of keeping our borders and keeping the civilians safe. And we are extremely sad and painful and heartbroken by this. And they will need to give us answers. And I hope Prime Minister Netanyahu will take responsibility for his own failure. But once again, the IDF soldiers are not the ones to blame. And they have been doing the most amazing work right now. They are risking their lives. They're committed to fulfill their job and their mission to keep us safe and to eliminate Hamas, because that is the most important job right now. And of course, we feel betrayed by our prime minister and by this government. But once again, the only ones to blame is the Hamas organization, terror organization. They were the ones who were taking babies out of their beds.
I'm convinced that they knew.
Else.
Absolutely. Well, Shani, we thank you for your perspective on this and joining us on such short notice with this breaking news. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
so
you.
Now, boys and girls, we're going to go into the rest of the world. So those were two hotspots to begin with. Israel, Palestine, and then Russia, Ukraine. I wanted to start with ADSB so we can take a look at the board. The Saudis just left Joe Biden's house. I'm not kidding. Saudi military. So, I don't think it was the climate change summit because the climate change summit was over there. But we have a conglomeration of airplanes here. Board's kind of heavy today. Not terribly heavy, but more than usual. We got quite a few tankers up. We got the E3 up. But the Saudis probably just wrote Joe a check. They probably handed it to him personally. Nothing hella shocking on the board. It is kind of heavy for that I'm really looking at it because I kind of just went through it earlier, but it's a touch on the heavier side for a random Tuesday afternoon. Not terribly concerned, but the board's been funny for a while. Let's see what we got over here. Indian military, Bangladesh, Osaya, Sumo or Sumo 808. Kind of racist. Japanese 7.6. We still have some fighters in Qatar. I think those are Euro fighters. Yep. And relatively quiet over Europe. So that's what the board looks like. Speaking of board, I think didn't they hold the summit though? I know that was fantastic. It was fantastic. Speaking of boards, the United States and Britain formed the offensive plan of the Ukrainians with the help of 8 board games. This is for real. The United States and Britain have helped Ukraine craft a counterattack plan through a series of military tactical games, the Washington Post reported, citing talks of more than 30 senior officials from Kiev, Washington, and European countries. Planners conducted the exercise using specialized wargame software and Excel spreadsheets, and simply by moving figures around the map. According to the Washington Post, despite the joint plan, those involved disagreed on strategy, tactics, and timing. So board games is our national defense strategy. That's cute. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're using board games for international incidents. Moving on to another thing that are, God, I hope so. I hope so. They will soon. Britain sends 8 warships on a mission for fear of global conflict, development to the Baltic North Sea and the Suez Canal. So though Brits are getting involved, in the coming days, Britain is to send a total of 8 warships on missions to the Baltic Sea, North Sea, and Suez Canal for fear of a global conflict to deter Russia and Iran. This is reported by the British newspaper The Sun. According to the media, Great Britain is to send a fleet of warships to the Baltic and North Seas together with its joint expeditionary force, which includes Denmark, Finland, Estonia, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Norway, to protect submarine cables from Russia. The report goes on to say that Russian activities could threaten undersea internet cables, wind farm power lines, and oil and natural gas pipelines. The fleet includes 7 ships, including Mounts Bay, HMS Richmond, HMS Somerset, HMS Severin, HMS Tyne, HMS Catastock, HMS Penzance, as well as a P-8 Poseidon submarine and maritime reconnaissance aircraft. Another ship, the British guided missile destroyer Diamond, that's a stripper name, is to sail through the Suez Canal to show its power to Iran following attacks by Yemen Houthi rebels, it said. So this is that at least a direct response from what I wanted on the other day. I was wondering when we start hearing a response. So that's a show of force response. It does sound like a risk. That was a terrible joke, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Passing like 2 billion. Did they get the memo of who blew up the pipeline? Maybe. Yeah, it was 100% the United States. I have no problem saying that. But video. Iranian UAV tracks aircraft carrier USS Eisenhower and his battle group in the Persian Gulf. I wanted to actually watch the video because it's getting kind of tired. So we'll just watch the video. So I said this would be an area of consternation and for conflict, and we're starting to see it. So, hell, Joe Obama done went and fucked up the Nord Stream pipeline. Who questioned it? Just normies. Yep. So apparently it followed around a carrier for some time, which is always a good idea. It's a pretty boat, though. Look at all that semen. Those semen? No, I was right the first time. I hope somebody has Battleship on board so we can stop this madness. But I don't think Battleship had drones. All right, so moving on. So obviously this is a very recent story. Just happened not too long ago. Turkey with the new anti-NOTAM. It calls for the demilitarization of the Aegean Islands within 5 minutes of Erdogan's visit. So there's going to be some 5 or 6 stories that just kind of show yet again the tension that are outside of the countries that were previously listed. So shortly before Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan arrives in Athens, Turkey again questions Greece's sovereignty within the Aegean and calls for the demilitarization of the islands with an anti-NOTAM. NOTAM it's notice to airmen. Fuck you with your woke shit. It's notice to airmen. Just notice to airmen. But moving along, like I said, kind of speed round here. Radev, the president of Bulgaria, blocks the shipment of 100 BTR-60 anti-tank missiles to Ukraine. Bulgarian President Rumen Radev has exercised veto power to send back to Parliament legislation ratifying the agreement to send 100 BTR-60 armored personnel carriers to Ukraine. So we're seeing more countries that are having some kind of impact with what's going on. That's now we're here we go. Here's more from Germany. So Germany closes a consulate in Russia. Zakharov, a disastrous mistake that leads to a break in our diplomatic relations. Germany is walking a tightrope, and with its disastrous foreign policy, it's one step away from completely severing its diplomatic relations with Russia. Once again, an important trade partner and energy supplier. So, yet again, another country that's tangentially involved in some major conflict. We have Moldova adds fuel to the fire. It calls for unconditional withdrawal of Russian army from Transnistria. I had to look this place up. I didn't think it actually was real, but apparently it is. Moldova's delegation to the annual ministerial meeting of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and Skopje will ask Russia to withdraw its troops from Transnistria. The country's Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Integration, Nicole Popescu, said they confirmed the need for unconditional withdrawal of troops of the Russian Federation from our territory in order to create favorable conditions for an exclusively peaceful settlement of the Transnistrian conflict. So there's yet another one. Here's more. Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are considering the supply of advanced French Rafale fighters. New front with Moscow. According to information sources of the French newspaper La Tribune, the manufacturer Dassault Aviation has been heavily considering in recent months the possibility of implementing an agreement to sell Rafale fighter jets to Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan as a part of deepening its strategic relations of France with the two Central Asian countries. Damn, there was more than 5. Okay, now there might be 5. We see increased technology in military involvement. INS Impal, successful launch of BrahMos anti-ship hypersonic missile from India's new destroyer. The Indian Navy's new destroyer INS Impal conducted a successful test fire of extended range BrahMos anti-ship missile before it was commissioned. So we can watch that video, but yeah, yet another country. So another country that's at least preparing and building things out for a potential conflict with yes. Bro, I really didn't know Transnistria existed. I had to look it up. It's a mess everywhere. So another one, we will hit targets deep in Greece. Turkey plans ballistic missile with a range of 1,000 kilometers. So this is yet again. There's not much to here. They're going to start developing a ballistic missile to hit deep targets in Greece, and then important development: Britain and Turkey are preparing a major free trade agreement. So again, we're seeing these kind of countries break out. We're seeing these regions break out. We're starting to see the sides announce themselves for what can only be thought of as a conflict. Appreciate it. Preparations continue for the update of the free trade agreement between Turkey and the United Kingdom, which entered force January 1st, 2021, as reported by Sky's correspondent in Istanbul. So yet another country that's kind of getting friendly. And then we have little fatty himself, everybody's favorite dictator, Kim Jong-un. Where's it at? God damn it.
Little rocket man.
There we go. As we said when we watched the Korea 425 sat launched from Vandenberg, any interference with the operation of our satellite will be taken as a declaration of war. We will shoot down U.S. spy satellites. Good luck, fat man. Good luck, fatty fat. North Korea has warned that it will respond to any U.S. interference with its satellite operation by neutralizing U.S. spy satellites, the North Korean news agency reported. And it does reference it at the bottom of this article on Friday, 1/12/23, which is backwards because the rest of the world's weird. Seoul also launched its first spy sat into orbit and plans to launch 4 more by the end of 2025. And again, we saw that live. So right here. Kim's rocket worked, supposedly. Photos taken by Pyongyang's newly launched military satellite showing the White House and U.S. Pentagon, among others, were inspected by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the North Korean Central News Agency said. It is the legitimate right of North Korea as a belligerent to develop, test, manufacture, and possess weapon systems that are equivalent to those possessed or developed by the United States. So apparently he got some good returns on photos back from what we saw launched the other day. So yeah. Isn't this a show? I don't know what you mean by that. I need more information. Hackers from Russia and China hit a British nuclear facility. That's always fun. Read what Spicy said. Feels like there's nothing you can do. There's a FOIA request. Local cop, sheriff's marshals, Brady list. Make what you learned into a record at your local city council. I think so. Spicy. I always encourage getting involved in local politics, and I'll go on a quick aside. But I don't even think that works anymore. Honestly, I've been elected to public office. I've served in city councils. I've done all these things, and there is no traction for the people anymore. I still encourage it because maybe it's not like that everywhere else, but I know at least here in Southeast Michigan, there's nothing here. There's no traction anymore. You can't make an impact like you used to be able to. I've put in a lot of time and effort into local politics and running myself and going to meetings and all kinds of stuff. Not anymore. Kind of. I'm only a delegate now. A state delegate. North Korea doesn't want war. They just want propaganda for you people to keep their minds on an outside threat instead of their terrible lives. Possibly. To be fair, I've said it out loud multiple times. Also, to be fair, oh, got it. Okay. Yes. Also, to be fair, I don't play the game. That's why they won't allow me in politics at any higher degree or level than I already am. So, hacker groups linked to Russia and China have in recent years breached the systems of Britain's Sellafield nuclear facility, the Guardian reports. I'm going to read just a little bit about it because I want to, again, this is more to touch on general things instead of getting into deep shit. How much did APAC pay you? Nothing. Nothing. I don't play their game, so I'm not a big fan, and they're not a big fan of mine. None of them. We actually won the seat for our county party, and they revoked it, said we did it improperly, and put their own guy up anyway. So the parties are fucked. But I appreciate it, super buddy. Truly, I've tried to make an impact, and it just doesn't happen anymore. So, not that I'm stopping or not being a thorn in their side, but anyways. What's more, hackers could potentially gain access to highly classified material in the sprawling facility's information system. The material includes instructions on how Britain would respond to a nuclear attack. I'm going to look more into this one because with the Russian test launches and stuff like that, I think it would be interesting to see what's going on there and exactly what it affected. To be fair, it's probably right. And to be fair, XCOM can accuse me. That's fine. No, I don't care. You'd be good in local politics. Did you give up on it completely? No, I haven't. We're kind of reevaluating. Realistically, we're waiting to see because they just ousted another one of our fucking state chairs for the GOP. Karamo's probably not going to last past next week. They're voting on no confidence, which I will vote against. I like Miss Cramo. I think our party has done a shit job in the state of Michigan trying to secure seats, but I don't know that Miss Cramo has. So, yep. You need to learn how the Biden vote works. I know. Plus, there's been some other stuff that has been concerning. So, with local politics, but no, I'll never give up. I'm too much of an asshole. Anyways, China warns a risk of war spreading in the Middle East. Outlook is worrying. This is coming from China. So China considers the situation in the Gaza Strip very serious, considers the risk of the spread of Israel-Hamas war is increasing, and the prospect is worrying as the hostilities of the Israeli army with neighboring states, Lebanon and Syria, are intensifying. China's special envoy to the Middle East, Jai Jun, said China's state media reported today. So again, we see another major world power that's concerned with what's going on. And that it gets messy. Gets messy. Appreciate it. You're Canadian though. They tried to talk me into running for president the other day, and Xcomer sent me a super chat, and I said, "Thank fucking God, it's foreign interference, and I have morals and ethics, so I can't run now." So, U.S. preparing for simultaneous war with Russia and China. What a congressional proposal says. A huge increase in defense spending is coming. Of course it is. Of course it is. I'm actually going to cover this one more in detail from the political side on Thursday, but we'll hit it just kind of a little bit here. The United States must prepare for possible simultaneous wars with Russia and China, and in Iran, North Korea, probably India, by expanding its conventional forces, strengthening its alliances, and strengthening its nuclear weapons modernization program, a bipartisan congressionally appointed panel recommends. It would also require a huge increase in defense spending, and we recognize physical reality, but also believe that the state must make these investments. The U.S. and its allies must be ready to deter and defeat both adversaries simultaneously. The U.S.-led international order and its values it represents are at risk from the authoritarian regimes of China and Russia. I agree in part that things like our nuclear weapons need to be significantly brought up. However, they're not actually doing it. There's the 30-year weapons modernization program began in 2010. Was estimated $400 billion by 2046, and that's went way over budget and going to be another 20 years. So they're not serious about it. It's just more money into the pockets of defense contractors. So China helped negotiate a peace agreement between Saudis and Iranians, which is crazy. If you know anything about the relationship, so I wouldn't knock China on that front. Still hate commies though. Yeah, no, I think they're going to be. I think they'll be instrumental in moving forward because the U.S. doesn't have the same power that it once did. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of China.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
That wasn't me saying that. That was him. And that's the other thing. Yeah, there's a shit ton of people coming into our country illegally that we're going to have to contend with at some point. But it's almost like you know me, Spicy. This is going to be what we end on tonight. This is Senator Dick Durbin. And he says, fuck it. Let's just turn all these illegal aliens into American soldiers. That's going to work. But we'll listen to him. And
what troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is that it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance? I think we should. And let me tell you about other.
And, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's a significant security threat to our nation and probably not a good idea. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah, I can see how it would be beneficial. I also understand that would be, God, that would be a serious threat. Serious threat. So, I think so too. But I got the film about the slaughter bots. I'll watch it right after I get off here. So I appreciate that. And but yeah, so that's gonna be it for me. Thursday, big news roundup. There's a lot of shit on fire. It's gonna be a fun one. Also, I actually sat down today when I had 10 minutes, and went through like I had 10 minutes. Did it simultaneously by doing 17 other things, but went through and created playlists for everything. Created playlists, so shit's easier to get to. So if you want to find something specifically, there's like 6 or 7 playlists now. So I have to go through hundreds of videos for some ungodly reason. So yeah, but thank you. I appreciate it, and hope to have you back. So maybe, but so yeah, there's a lot on fire, a lot blowing up. Thursday's gonna have a lot of interesting topics. So hope to see you guys all on Thursday. Other than that, thanks for joining me. I appreciate y'all, and I will see you again soon. Have a good night, everybody.